Over the last 7 years, I've scaled multiple coaching businesses well past $100,000 a month consistently, including my own online 7-figure coaching business, as well as my consulting business that I turned into an 8-figure empire. Here's the piece that most business owners like myself will not tell you. Hitting $100,000 a month doesn't come down to having some magic automation or having some fancy funnel or some secret webinar or going viral that will fill your inbox with high-ticket clients overnight. In fact, doing all of those things too soon is the fastest way for you to get stuck. In 2025, the game has changed. It happens every couple years, but if you're not using systems inside of your business, you're already falling behind. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the easiest, most straightforward path to $100,000 a month as an online coach. This isn't theory. I'm giving you the exact steps to build a business that scales without chaos. Let's get into it. So here's the reality of what's going on in the coaching space right now. Most coaches are making it way harder than it needs to be, and they end up chasing trends, trying every new shiny tactic, and they end up burning themselves out into the process of this. That's why they throw in the towel whenever they get close to hitting, a 20K month, a 50K month. They just get burned out. Here's the truth. You don't have to be everywhere or do everything in order to hit 100K a month. What you need is systems that actually work. You need a repeatable process to be able to get leads, convert them into clients, and then be able to deliver the result ethically that you promise you're going to deliver. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this step by step. Now, first, who am I and why even listen? So if you're new here, my name is Dustin Lash. I'm known for building and scaling online businesses. I've come from the blue collar space. I was a logger forever, had a passion for fitness, so I became an in-person trainer. Quickly realized the money sucked. I lived in the gym forever. I had 4 kids at home and a wife that never got to see me. So I started an online fitness business in 2015. Saw an ad. It was from Alex Hormozy at the time, which I did not know who he was. And I dove in, paid a ton of money, learned some skills. Next thing you know, in 2018, I sold it after I did 1.4-ish mil in online fitness. And then I became a business coach to help other people that were trying to get out of the gym, become online trainers and all the other stuff. Then late 2022, I decided to start a marketing agency because I was bored, but I still love doing business coaching, along with a ton of other things with real estate, and there's a lot of other things, right? So down in the left-hand corner of this, you can see that I threw a picture of my Stripe account just so that you know that I've actually done this and so that you also know what's actually possible. You can see that I've done well over 8 figures in coaching alone. As of today, I've helped over 2,876 people just like you start and scale an online coaching business to become profitable and successful. I know this number is exact because I pulled it off of my dashboard right before filming this video. So where we actually start inside of this thing is building an offer, okay? Building an offer around one big problem. This is where I see most coaches get stuck, and this is the very beginning of understanding what it is you're trying to do and how you're helping. So you have to stop trying to solve everything for everyone. Those that try and speak to everyone end up being heard by no one. You have to pick one big problem that your ideal client has, and you have to become the go-to expert for solving that one problem, okay? Now, what this looks like and how you can do this, here are the 3 main places where I suggest stay: the health, wealth, and relationship place. These 3 areas will always have a demand and you will always be profitable. Now, I suggest finding a skill set that you already have that you can sharpen. Maybe it's in health, maybe it's in wealth, or maybe it's in a relationship. Here's an example of what I mean by that. We're solving one big problem, not multiple. So when it comes to health, maybe it's someone wanting to lose weight, someone wanting to build muscle, someone that has gut or hormone health issues. When it comes to wealth, you help people make money. You help people invest money. You can help people trade money. And then with the relationships, you can save a marriage. Maybe you can help somebody find love, or maybe you can help mend a family relationship. I recommend you doing something that you know you're good at and then sharpen that skill to get even better. So when it comes to the next piece, it's like, okay, great. I know I have a skill set in something and I know the problem that I want to solve. Next, it's let's let the world know. So I suggest choose a client acquisition channel of some kind. Social media is a free and paid marketing tool, and it's the best tool out there because you can go and start for free and start creating brand awareness around the problem you want to solve. Optimizing your social media is the next piece. So as you can see, here's what my Instagram account looks like. I choose Instagram just because it is a client acquisition channel that I've always used primarily. If it's Facebook for you, then do that. If it's Instagram, perfect. If it's LinkedIn, go do that. If it's TikTok, I would recommend getting on another acquisition channel just because we don't know how long that's going to be around. But here's how you can optimize your bio. You need a clean picture of you smiling. I prefer like a professional photo of some kind. Do not make this a logo. We want this to be a smiling face. You need to be approachable so that when you're having conversations with people, they can look at the photo of you and be like, okay, this is the person that I'm talking to. It's relatable. If they see a photo of a logo, they don't really know who they're talking to, and no one wants to talk to a business. They want to talk to a person. People buy from people, right? Next is your bio tagline needs to explain who you are and what you do. When someone lands on your Instagram, they need to say immediately, oh, I know exactly who this person is and what they do by what it says in their bio. So for example, building and scaling online coaches is 6 and 7 figures. I went from a certified personal trainer to an 8-figure CEO. And then there's free resources below, right? It's very clear on who I am and what I do. And then your first 3 posts should scream that you're a go-to expert. These are your pinned posts. The posts that I recommend pinning is basically like they are on mine, right? So I have one that has me with my 2 Kamala Club award with Russell Bronson at a ClickFunnels show, right? And then the next one is testimonials, tons of testimonials from clients. And then the third one is my offer with a soft call to action. That is my 3 pin posts. I always recommend having social proof and then your offer with a call to action as a pin post. The other one would be like your story. Who are you? Where'd you come from? Why do you do what you do? That type of thing. Okay, so when it comes to post daily content solving people's problems, what we're doing is we're creating authority through our content. You don't need to post 1,000,000 times a day. You need to focus on content that speaks to your ideal client in their biggest pain points to give them quick wins. We're looking for quality over quantity, okay? Now, these are the types of posts I would suggest staying in. So what we do is we break this down with content for pillars. So like these 4 things are our main pillars. And then from that, we create subtopics. So the 4 pillars would be types of content that are connection-based, education-based, social proof, and then reach. This is what this looks like. Connection style content is you connecting with your audience so they actually know who you are on a personal level, behind the scenes of your life, your family. What do you like to do? What are your hobbies? What are your dislikes? Share your life and just be vulnerable. You can't be afraid to tell your own story. If you used to have a drinking problem, share that. If you've been in trouble with the law, share that. If you used to be addicted to drugs, share that, because that is a relatable thing. When you open up, people choose you and your brand because of your story that connects you. So always, always, always share connection style content. And then education. So education content will get the least amount of engagement, but it will educate your audience the most because they will see you as the authority in your space and on that one problem that you're solving. So we're going to solve problems through this educational based content, and we're going to provide real value. We're not going to give them top of the iceberg, surface level stuff. Like, help solve their problem through your content. And then social proof. So depending on the niche that you're in, transformation photos, before and after photos, testimonials. If you don't have any clients or you've never helped anyone solve this problem, 9 times out of 10, the problem we decide to solve is a problem we dealt with of our own. So I always say, if you don't know what to create content that the old version of you needed to hear back then and speak to that person. So in social proof, share your own journey. If you're helping people with fitness, 9 times out of 10, you're doing it because you've been through your own fitness journey. So share your transformation. And then when it comes to reach, this will not bring you clients directly, but this will bring you followers and bring you new eyeballs on you, your brand, your service, your product, whatever it is. So look at things that are trending, things that are funny, and then things that are savable and shareable, because the algorithm loves that. That's what feeds the algorithm and will let more people see you, is things that are savable and shareable. Something for me when I was an online fitness coach, the best piece of content that I ever had was recipes. I had zero engagement on it, but everyone would save it and share it to all of their friends. And so I would get tons of followers just from simple recipes that I shared. So when it comes to not knowing what to post or not knowing what the pain points are for the avatar you want to work with, use ChatGPT. This is the easiest way to brainstorm ideas. So just use this prompt. Type in ChatGPT, what are the top pain points for people struggling with blank, whatever problem it is that you're solving. And it will give you a list. And then start creating pieces of content based around that problem and how they can solve it. Typically, our current ecosystem is old friends, family members, people that really don't have any interest in what we do. How we can start getting new eyeballs is by boosting a post. What you do is after you start creating content for a week or two, you're going to be able to go, okay, make adjustments and say, this one performs better than this one. Maybe they like my reels better than they do my post. Maybe they like my connection posts more than they do my trending posts, right? And so once you nail that down, start boosting your best performing content. Just spend $5 a day. That's coffee money for a shot at growing your audience 10 times faster. And what's going to happen is that as you start getting new followers in, now we're having more eyeballs on your content. It's actually nurturing them. But the next piece is like, cool, now I have new followers. I have people engaging with my stuff, but they're not buying from me yet. How do I change that? That comes from conversations. If you want to be successful, you have to operate your social media like a business. When someone engages, they comment, they follow, they are opening the door to your business and coming inside. The first thing you're going to do is greet that person, right? So, hey, name, thanks for the follow. Did you follow me for the content, or are you struggling with blank, whatever problem you solve, right? Again, think of it as a business. If you own a nutrition shop and a customer walks in, you're not just going to continue to do whatever you're doing. You're like, hey, just curious, do you need any help with anything? It's the same thing. Like, we treat our social media page like it's a business. So when we ask this question, not everyone's going to go, oh yeah, by the way, I am struggling in my relationship, right? But it starts the conversation, and the conversation is what's going to take us to the next step. I want you to focus on these 4 things. If you get really, really good at these 4 things, you cannot lose. Content that drives conversations, conversations that drive calls, and calls that turn into clients. That is the most repeatable thing that you can get really good at and absolutely crush as an online coach. So after we're here, it's like, cool, I'm having a conversation. What happens next? Be a human. Have a conversation like a human, not like a salesman, not like a robot, but these are the things that we're looking for when we're having the conversation. We want to know, like, what's their goal? Are they trying to fix a relationship? Are they trying to lose weight? Are they trying to make more money? Are they trying to trade money? Like, what is their goal? And then what are they struggling with? What have they tried before that didn't work? And then do they even want help solving the problem? Once we understand all of these things, then we can move forward. If we don't know these, we're not ready to ask the next question. We have to know these things first, because throughout having this conversation like a human, not a robot, then we will have enough information to go, this person is my ideal client. I can serve this person at the highest level possible, and I want to see if I can help. Then we move on. Don't be weird when it gets to this part, okay? Act like you're having a conversation with a friend. If we're going through and they're like, yeah, I do want help. I would love for you to help me fix my relationship if you have a way, right? I would love for you to help me make more money. I would love for you to help me lose weight. Cool. Instead of me typing out a book, is it cool if I just drop my calendar, because it would be way easier and we could just come up with a game plan to see if I can help. Not be weird about it, right? And I always like to ask, cool if I drop my calendar? I'm asking for permission. I just don't want to go through and just randomly throw my calendar down because it's a really sleazy, salesy move. So I always ask permission first. If they ghost, that's okay. They're obviously not warm enough as a lead. So we just wait. Like we don't want to just give them our calendar. We always ask for permission first. You guys still with me? Perfect. Okay. So when it comes to this client acquisition system that I'm talking about, that's what this is. It is a system for client acquisition. This, again, is where most coaches drop the ball. You need a simple system for attracting, nurturing, and closing clients. Think of things like lead magnets, the simple DMs in sales calls, not cold DMs, or what I call hope marketing, which is just posting and praying, right? So let's say that they're like, yeah, I would love to have a call. So on the call, what we're doing is we're explaining how your offer solves their problem. And then we're signing them up to fix their problems ethically for $1,000 to $3,000 a month for your service. Now, if you have no background in sales or you don't understand how this goes, on a sales call, I'm trying to think of the right way to structure this. On a sales call, there are basically steps of a call, right? I'm going to break this down for you in the simple steps because I don't have a graphic made. The first thing we do is rapport. We're just building rapport on the call. Hey, where do you live? How's the weather? Blah, 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 right? Greeting them. And then after that, we go into what's called a pre-frame. And the pre-frame, what we're doing is we're setting the expectation for the call. Hey, so I appreciate you jumping on a call with me. It shows, you're really interested in having this conversation, and I want to value your time. So I'm going to make this call super valuable as possible, right? I'm setting the expectation. So this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to kind of learn a little bit more about you, what you're currently going through, and if I'm able to help. If I am able to help, towards the end of the call, I'll offer you an opportunity to work together. Is that cool? Now we go into discovery. Discovery is where we're learning more about them, what they're currently doing, and getting the nitty gritty to find out where this person is at in their life and if we can help them. Once we understand all of that, then we move to the next phase. And that's where we tell them about how our offer solves their problem. And then from there, we go into what's called testing their temperature. So it's like, cool. So like based off of everything I shared, just curious where you're at on like a 1 to 10, like how do you feel about everything we've talked about? And then we go into a pitch, and when that's with price and close. Okay. So I know that was a very, very short version, but I wanted to give you some context of the sales process in general. So what happens next is that on the call, this is where you collect the money, right? And now once you're closing clients consistently, it's time to start thinking about streamlining things and automating what you can and delegating tasks. This will allow you to focus on scale without burnout. That's it. Like there's no gimmicks, no fluff, just real strategies that work throughout this whole entire process. So when it comes to like the foundation, most coaches fall apart here because if you think about it like a nice big house, when we're building a house, if the foundation is never set, once the house gets so big, it eventually just falls over. Same with the business. So when we're setting the foundation of a business, where we would start is there has to be a business entity, right? Is it a sole prop, an LLC, an S corp? It has to be something. So you can start a sole prop if you've never had one before. You can just go to on this website and submit a sole prop. You'll get an EIN number, all that good stuff. Takes no time. You can do an LLC. I want to say it's like $200, depending on where you go. And then you can also do an S corp. That's totally up to you. I'm not giving you any guidance or advice on that. I'm just explaining. I would recommend having some kind. Then a payment gateway. You need a way to accept payments. Time kills deals. And when you're on a conversation with someone and they say, yes, they want your service, but you don't have a way to accept the transaction, then they can decide, never mind, right? So we want to close that gap by having every payment gateway that we can have. Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, Bitcoin, debit card, credit card, Square, Apple Pay, like have all the things. And that's typically what we set up all of our clients with as well. And then once we start having more conversations, it's time to start refining the offer. When you have more conversations, now you know pain points are pretty common. A lot of people that I talk to deal with the same thing. So how can I incorporate that in my offer? And a lot of the stuff that I talk about, people aren't even needing. So let me delete that from the offer. And then you look at pricing, packaging, and delivery. So what's a good number that I can charge for my service? How can I package this based off of the conversations that I'm having to make it more valuable? And then what's delivery look like? What does this person actually get? And how is it delivered once they make the investment? And then you look at like branding and content domination, optimization for attraction, apps for streamlining, just to make life simpler. If you're in fitness, that's a must for fitness and nutrition. Tons of apps out there, Trainerize, My PT Hub, Coach Catalyst. And then you can look at automation for efficiency. So when it comes to funnels, I'm sure that you've heard this time and time again. You've heard, oh, you need this fancy funnel, all this crazy stuff. You really don't. There's a time and a place for a funnel, but in the beginning of business, you don't have to have one. Your Instagram is a client acquisition funnel. So this is what it looks like from a 30,000 foot view. You have 3 parts of a funnel: top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, right? Top of funnel means where they come in. So this is your avatar, also known as your ideal client or ICA. There's 2 paths that they can come into your funnel: organic or ads. So organic means it's through the content that you post, your Instagram stories, your content, your lives, your broadcast channel, all the things. The other way is ads, meaning you're just spending money for eyeballs on you, your product, your brand, your service. Let's say they're coming in through organic. So they come into your funnel. Now they're seeing your content, watching your stories, things like that, being nurtured through it. And then eventually it leads to the middle of the funnel with engagement. So now they're commenting, liking, things like that. Now it's time for a DM. So now they're in the middle of the funnel. We're going to start a conversation. We're going to ask those basic questions that I sent. I call this a question track that I showed you guys earlier. And then from there, if it makes sense, we're going to offer the call. Now, of course, if they're not an ideal client, we're not going to offer the call. But let's say in this case, they are our ideal client, so we offer the call. From there, we pitch our offer. This is bottom of funnel. And then from here, we turn them into a paid client. Simple client acquisition funnel for your Instagram page. This is exactly how it works. Top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Now, this piece is a little next level, right? So the reason why I'm showing you guys this is because there comes a point in the business that you have to be able to measure stuff in order to scale. If you're making, $8,000 a month, $10,000 a month, and you're okay with that, then this part really doesn't matter. But if you're actually wanting to scale and get to $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 a month in revenue, you have to be able to measure it to know what's working and what's not. So this is what I could call the constraint timeline, because constraints will come. If you don't measure them, you'll never know what the constraint is, okay? So the first thing you have is outreach. That's ads, content, follows, cold DMs, engagement, or in-person relationships that you're building. This is where people start. From here, goal is to get book calls. We're looking for a 5 to 20% booking rate from conversations. Now, if that's not happening, then the constraint is either the value, the communication, the rapport, the likability. Maybe it's a script. If you're using an appointment setter, maybe they suck. If you're doing it yourself, maybe you just need to sharpen your skills, right? But that's where you would look if you're not hitting this number. Next is going to be the call rate. So let's say, I've got plenty of calls on my calendar, but none of them are showing up. So what we need to look at is, are we nurturing them? Is there a confirmation text going out? Do they know about the call? Am I providing enough value before the call? Am I going through and liking their Instagram posts or commenting on their stuff before the call? Goal is that we have a 70% show up rate. So a 20% no-show rate, because that is industry standard. But 70% of the people you book should show. And if they're not, you need to look here. Next is the close rate. You want a 30% close rate. 30%. That means out of every 10, you're closing 3. Now, that number can always be higher, but we never want it to be less. If for some reason you're closing at a 10 or a 15%, then we need to look at what the constraint is. Maybe it's the sales process. Maybe it's the skill. Maybe it's the professionalism on the call. Maybe you're not pushing enough urgency. Maybe it's the offer, or maybe it's the payment process that's causing a delay and a fall off. So there are 4 main objections that you're ever going to get in sales in a coaching business. And when you get good at these really 4 things, your close rate will go up, right? It's going to be time, spouse, belief, or money. Those are the main 4 objections that you're ever going to get. Now, every once in a while, might get a random one like, oh, I left my wallet at home or something like that. But very commonly, it's going to be those 4. So from here, let's say you've done all these things. You're getting book calls, you've got a high show rate, you've got a 30% close. The next constraint comes at referrals and advertising with fulfillment, communication, creatives, copy, and funnels. There will come a point in time in your business where you hit your ceiling. Even though I'm a business coach, there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, make as much money as you want and live this free lifestyle, blah, blah, blah. Right. But you have to start building a team because you will reach your ceiling as being one person. That's where fulfillment is. So let's say you're one coach and there's only so many hours in a day. You're doing sales, you're doing content, you're going through and looking at all the analytics, you're tracking all the metrics, you're doing all of the one-on-one calls. Eventually, you're going to hit your ceiling. My number for online fitness was 50. When I hit 50 clients, I could not take any more clients by myself. I had to bring on an assistant coach. So fulfillment is the first piece that I would always recommend delegating out because it's not a money-making activity. Bring on an assistant coach, bring on a CSM, so a client success manager, someone like that to help you with fulfillment so that you can focus on everything else. Then you would bring on like a sales closer and then an appointment setter to remove you from wearing all the hats in the business so you can focus on growth as the CEO. Next is like communications, creatives, copy, funnels, all of those things. Again, that is where delegating and outsourcing comes into play so that you can start buying your time back. How I recommend doing this is never doing a per hour basis. Everything we do is a percentage basis of revenue brought inside the business. Where I see so many people just lose themselves is when they start trying to delegate or outsource too soon because they haven't learned the skill. They're just trying to get out of doing the job. Then they start paying people an hourly rate. That person doesn't perform, and then the business shuts the door 2 months later. So when you base everything off of a percentage of cash collected, the business continues to move smooth. So I hope all this makes sense. I know this was a lot of information, but I hope it was full of value. Here's kind of where I'm at with this. So I feel like now you have 2 choices. If you're wanting to start your own thing or you're currently doing your own thing, you can keep trying to figure this out on your own, which typically is going to spend months or years even testing strategies that may or may not work on your own. Or you can work with someone who's already done this before and has helped hundreds, if not thousands of other coaches do the exact same thing. So if you're serious about scaling to $100,000 a month, all you need to do is click the link in the description, book a free roadmap call with me or my team, and I'll map out exactly what your next step should look like so that you can hit your goal faster. And hey, if you found this valuable, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn on the notifications for more content for scaling your online coaching business. See you in the next one.